Hi, my name is Joey Coppage, the fertility nutrition coach. How easy is it to become insulin resistant? And how does this affect my fertility? In order to digest and absorb carbohydrates like fruits and vegetables and whole grains, stuff like that, we have to break down the starches and fibers and complex molecules that those kinds of foods are made of into the simplest building block, glucose. Once this glucose is absorbed into the bloodstream, we use some of it right away. Some of it gets stored in the liver, some of it gets stored in the muscles as glycogen, and some of it remains in the bloodstream. And this whole process of breakdown and redistribution slowly occurs over the course of 3 to 6 hours. Now, our body attempts to maintain our blood glucose levels somewhere in a healthy range, over 70 milligrams per deciliter of blood, because it's our primary source of energy, but also below 110 milligrams per deciliter of blood, because going over is unhealthy for our blood vessels and kidneys. So as we're digesting and absorbing this glucose, our blood glucose level goes up, which triggers the release of insulin, a hormone that signals cells to remove glucose from the blood until the blood glucose levels are back down to that normal range between 70 and 110. Once blood glucose levels are back within that normal range, we stop releasing insulin and we start releasing a hormone called glucagon, which signals the liver to break down glycogen, which is a storage form of glucose, back into glucose and back into the bloodstream before our blood glucose level gets too low, right? So we're trying to keep it from going over and we're trying to keep it from going under that normal blood glucose range. Again, this whole process takes 3 to 6 hours, right? But when we eat carbs that break down quickly, like white rice, juice, cakes, fast food, most processed foods, we take that absorption window of 3 to 6 hours down to 15 or 20 minutes, meaning that all that glucose hits the bloodstream all at once. This dramatic spike in blood glucose causes an even more overwhelming insulin response, which drives blood sugar way down below safety levels, making it impossible for glucagon to come in and bring the blood glucose levels back to normal as fast as they were depleted. This leaves the bloodstream full of insulin for prolonged periods of time. Over weeks and months and years of our cells becoming less sensitive and more resistant to insulin's open up for glucose signal, the more resistant you are, the more insulin your pancreas has to produce in order for your cells to recognize that signal at all. At that point, the carbohydrates we eat keep our glucose levels higher for longer. And as your pancreas wears out, the carbohydrates we eat keep glucose levels higher for longer, which damages your blood vessels and kidneys, like I said before, and can turn into hypertension and diabetes. And this excess glucose can't just stay in the bloodstream either. So cells end up processing it into adipose tissue, which is why we often see excess weight gain in those who are insulin resistant. So even though body weight should never be used to qualify someone's health, it can definitely be worth asking about if you notice big changes. In regards to fertility, this excess insulin stimulates the ovaries to overproduce androgens, or male hormones, and prevents the liver from making sex hormone binding globulin, which is what's in charge of removing free testosterone from the body. An imbalance of any hormone can disrupt the reproductive process. But most notably, this influx of male hormones like testosterone forces oocytes to mature too quickly and then stop maturing before they're fully developed. This is where cysts from polycystic ovarian syndrome come from. And 40 to 70% of people with polycystic ovarian syndrome are insulin resistant. According to the CDC, 90% of people with prediabetes aren't even aware they have it. But don't wait to be diagnosed. 9 out of 10 diabetes cases can be avoided altogether by sticking with a variety of whole, unprocessed veggies, fruits, beans, and whole grains. This is the best way you can prevent hormonal imbalances that will impact ovulation and egg quality while fortifying a healthy pregnancy.